Hi, I'm Anisha,
I'm Brendan.
And I'm Tristan.
and today we're going to be talking about how you can use English teaching strategies and tools in your math class. To best explore how to use English in math class, we decided to follow the BC curriculum for grade 9 math. Here we found the big idea of continuous linear relationships can be identified and represented in many connected ways to identify regularities and make generalizations. Our goals for this lesson were to have students understand important math terms and definitions as they relate to graphing linear functions, as well as recognize real-life applications of graphing linear functions. As an introduction for this lesson, we intended on using plickers to review linear relationship vocabulary that was taught in a previous lesson. Students would then read an article on indigenous seafood consumption, and in teacher-assigned groups would then create a graph based on the article. In new groups, students would then use crosswordlabs.com to create a crossword using vocabulary from the graphing unit, as well as any interesting vocabulary pertaining to indigenous connections from the article. Lastly, students will swap their crosswords with other groups and try to solve them. Through working on this lesson plan, we discovered how to use interdisciplinary teaching methods to give students an awareness of the interconnectedness of language and math, including an indigenous perspective.
We understand that language skills are important beyond just the English language. In an effort towards inclusivity and shared understanding, we want to incorporate a First Peoples perspective into our lesson plan. With that in mind, and following the First Peoples principles of learning, we decided to present a math problem within the context of cultural identity. Essentially, we are asking students to read a current CBC article highlighting Indigenous communities' cultural connections to marine environments, and draw out significant figures to express the story in a graph format. We are trying to acknowledge that learning is embedded in memory, history, and story, and that learning requires exploration of one's identity. We hope that students will benefit from examining the language, story, and cultural significance within the article, and also connect this real-life story to the language of mathematics. Available technologies are abundant. With a profusion of options to choose from, we have carefully selected technologies that will augment the lesson plan. We have chosen plickers as a hook and a way to activate students' prior learning. We are using an online article to show relevance and connection within a provincial context. We have chosen Crossword Labs as our main channel to encourage creative thinking and coding between math and English. Nearpod is a simple and seamless way for students to share the work they have created, and we will offer Quizlet as an extension activity to solidify concepts and terms. Although this is a lot of technology, we feel that we can integrate it seamlessly, and that by using it we are supporting a variety of learning styles within the classroom.
Good morning. I'm going to first show you what plickers might look like in your class. Before we get started, I just wanted to thank Slav and Yahe for their participation. I also want you to note that there are two screens shown here. One is of the phone and one is of the computer. And that way you have the perspective from both the teacher and the students. Okay class, we're going to do a quick little review from last class using plickers. So here we have a few questions. First question, which graph represents a linear function? A, B, C, or D? Brilliant, thanks Slav and Yahe. Yeah, 100%, awesome. Next question, in the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, b represents what? Function, y-intercept, slope, or x-intercept? All right. Perfect. And lastly, in the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, m represents what? All right, thanks guys. That concludes the review for today. Now I'm going to show you how to use Crossword Labs. As the students move through the Nearpod lesson, they will reach this page for Crossword Labs. They simply need to click on this icon here to be redirected to the Crossword Labs page. The students will then be directed to the Crossword Labs main page. The first thing a student will want to do is add a title to their puzzle. Once the students have settled on a title, they move on to the next box. And in this box, they will put in their words and their clues. The word and the clue needs to be separated by a space. Once the students have finished inputting their words and corresponding clues, they can move down to the preview to see what their puzzle will look like. And if they're happy, they can go to the create a password, input a password, so they can go back and edit or reveal the answer key. Once happy with their finished product, they will click Save and Finish. Here's an example crossword developed for our lesson plan. Note the space between the word and the clues and the preview on the bottom right. The finished product may look something like this. If the students want to share, they will click on the share and they can copy the link here. Copy. And they can use that link to collaborate on the collaboration board in Nearpod. As the students complete their crosswords, they can move on to the collaboration board in Nearpod, and they can post their link for other students to try their crosswords. So as the other students finish, they can copy and paste this link into their browser and try to complete their friends' crosswords. A few more features worth pointing out in Crossword Labs are: 1. When you click on the different clues, it directs you towards where on the crossword the word appears. Second, you can actually put in the letters straight from the computer, so they can complete and save on the computer. And lastly, for those students who may be distracted by extra information, they can hit the focus mode, and this will direct them towards a more basic version of the Crossword Labs. And finally, as a study tool and an extension for the students, we have Quizlet. I'll quickly show you some Quizlet features. First, we have our flashcards. They can click to flip. Click here to move on to the different questions. We have write. Students can see the definition and type their answer and check. We have spelling, where again a student can see a definition and they can type in their answer and also use the audio feature.
Slow formula.
And lastly, we have test. We have different question types, written questions, multiple choice, and true and false, and they can immediately check their answers to see how they've done.
In ideal times, we would have loved to have everyone use their devices to create their own crosswords to share with one another in a face-to-face class. Since this is not possible at this time, we invite you to follow this link when you have a moment to give the crossword from this video a try, and we encourage you to visit crosswordlabs.com to create your own crossword and share with your friends later on. Finally, all references and links mentioned in this video can be found in our lesson plan, which you can visit for an in-depth look at how to use English in a math classroom. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new.